In this video, we are going to talk about how we can iterate over arrays on the canvas. So we're going to see if this wants to load. There we go. We are going to first talk about how we can get from numbers on the left to numbers on the right. Now, I'm sure you can identify that you could multiply by things, add, do lots of different operations. This is kind of mathy. So, in class, we will have talked about this, how to get from 0 to 75, you could have just added 75. But you'll notice on the right here, 75 to 125 is adding 50, adding 50, adding 50. So we could set up a nice standard like slope-intercept form of 50 times 0 plus 75, 50 times 1 plus 75. And you'll notice like this is 0, 75. This is 50 plus 75 gets us 125 and so on. We could also do this for another one. You'll notice this time it goes up by 40. So instead of putting 50 here times my 0, 1, 2, and 3, I'm putting 40. And instead of putting 75, I put 70 because that's where I started. So today we're going to be looking at iteration with arrays on Canvas. It's our last iteration focus. So iterating with arrays on the canvas is amazing, but it requires a little bit of math. Now, some of you might choose to actually stop and think about the math and do it and figure out, how you can get specific things to happen. Other of you might just choose to, guess and check, and both of those are fine. So when iterating with arrays on the canvas, you generally iterate over an array on the canvas. You want to make something happen for each element of that array. In order for these items to not be on top of each other, we have to do a little math to move them over. Remember that, because we're going to try something and you're going to see them be on top of each other. I often default to good old and reliable slope-intercept equations, y equals mx plus b. You can use something different if you'd like, but again, this is just easiest for me. So this is going to be what we are going to do today. You'll notice that I have made an array called fave colors: green, pink, orange, and aqua. Those are my favorite colors. We're obviously going to put the color codes instead of the words. And they have an index of 0, 1, 2, 3. And you'll notice that I've made an ellipse for the green, an ellipse for the pink, an ellipse for the orange, and an ellipse for the aqua. So go ahead and open up an editor 1.15, array iteration on Canvas. AP, you should be following along with me, pausing this video, rewinding, do whatever you need to so you get this information. Okay, so I have myself set up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start by making an array of colors. So I'm going to write color list. This is my var to hold my array of colors. And then inside of my setup, I'm, as you could guess, going to put myself in HSP color mode. And I'm going to set up my color list. I'm going to do equals brackets. Now, I would like you to pause typing for a second, and I just want to show you that if we were going to do colors, many of you would often just kind of type them like this, as if color, I don't know, I'm just typing in random numbers. But I will say that I think when you put colors in an array, just one after another, it looks kind of confusing. So I would suggest doing instead is between your brackets, pressing enter. You could even add a comment that says end of color list, but that way in between you can put your colors. Let me see what my colors were. Green, pink, orange, aqua. So I have color, green. I'm going to do like emeralds. Comma, and then you do enter, pink. Orange and aqua. Let's do. Okay, so please note that I have commas at the end of each line. The other reason I like doing this is I can add comments for each one. I can say like this is index 0, this is green, this is index 1, this is pink, index 2, this is orange, and this is index 3, and it is aqua. Okay, so I'm going to come on into my draw function, and I am going to just give it a little note. Let's iterate over our color list array, and for each color in the array, we will make an ellipse appear on the canvas. I want to remind you that when we iterate over an array, we generally use the variable to represent the index number. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a for loop. And for that index number, we have been doing like ind num or ind, or today I'm going to do I. No, I'll do ind. I'm going to start it at 0 because that's the first number in our array. I'm going to say, well, I could put, well, ind is less than 4 because I have 4 colors, 1, 2, 3, 4. But just in case I want to add anything later, I'm going to do color list dot length. And I'm going to do ind plus equals 1. And for right now, I will console.log ind. And you can see it showing me 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I just saved mine. I should have done that before running. But what I am going to do is I'm going to comment out that console.log, because if I keep it, it's going to continue adding that console every single time something is run. In fact, it's actually going to do 4 times every time it's run, which will end up crashing and making us slower. But this shows the index number. 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, because ind represents that number we are iterating over. Okay, so what I want to have happen is I want to make an ellipse at ind. Maybe I'll make it at 100, and I'm going to give it a 50 width. And you can see now we have an ellipse. If I wanted, I could also fill it with, here, I should add a comment. This is making an ellipse at an x equal to the end. I could also fill it with color list bracket end. And you can see that this is my aqua color, which means this is the last ellipse that we see. Now, it's kind of hard to figure out, but the reason we only see 1 is because it started at 0, and it said, okay, I'm at 0, come down to 100 and make an ellipse. Then add 1. So now my 0 turned into 1. Is 1 less than the total length or less than 4? Yes. So now come over to 1, down to 100, and make an ellipse. Fill it in pink. Okay, add 1. 2. Is 2 less than 4? Yes. Come over to 2, down to 100. But unfortunately, that 0, 1, 2, and 3 are so close to each other that we can't see any difference. So they just look like they're on top of each other. So we can go back to what we did earlier, which is right here, and we can play around with some math. So we could multiply our ind times something. Maybe I'm going to start with 40. And now you can see that they're kind of spread out. I could increase it. I could do 50. They got more spread out. I could do 70. The number that we are, in fact, I'm actually going to comment. I'm going to say making an ellipse at an x using the ind variable. The number you multiply the ind or variable iterated over by is how spread out the shapes will be. Now, let's say you didn't want to start it over here. We could do what we had talked about, and you could add a number. So maybe I do like plus 100. Now they moved over 100. I could have done plus 50. The number you add or subtract to the end, or variable iterated over, is where the iteration starts. A few challenges for you. The first is make an array of 5 different shades of red. Make rectangles going down the right side of the canvas that are each a different shade from that array. Make an array of words and get one word on each of the rectangles. Okay, can't wait to see what you can do.